so Alex, how are you?
I'm good, a little bit nervous, but fine.
Nervous about what?
Being him.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. Get nervous all the time.
But you look amazing on camera.
Thanks. Let's edit that out.
Why?
I won't be using that in the...
Ah?
I won't be using that online, no shots.
Huh?
Come on, carry on.
Okay, carry on. We're going to ask a question. We're going to talk with Alexandra about her journey and what she's doing. Alexandra basically has a very interesting story to tell you guys, and we want to be the first to talk about it.
Yes, so I am launching a podcast called Take a Chance on You that will be coming out very, very soon. And the idea is I want to spotlight my guests out and those that are just starting out in their journey, emerging talent. I want them to come to the table and just realise that they can live any life that they want to. They get to do anything, and it just starts right from the beginning, starts by telling a story now, not waiting until you have 30, 40 years of experience or to feel like you're ready to have a seat at the table. Just know that you can step into any room that you want, and I just want people to understand that they can do anything and their stories are worth telling. And some of my guests that I'm having on, they've travelled a lot, they've studied, they've then pivoted careers, you know, they've achieved so much, but I think society now and social media is not helping. Everything's become a little bit saturated and we're focusing on the big goals and obtaining that, but you need to understand that it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to get there. And through the guests coming on and relaying their stories, we can also focus on their challenges. So networking, if they don't have the right resources, being able to spotlight them out and build a community, but also get people involved in conversations, because I have built a good personal brand. I do a lot of public speaking, so I have resources I can offer out and words of wisdom, but ultimately I want others to get involved and just help. I think that's the main thing.
Sounds very exciting. Can I ask you a question? You were mentioning that you do personal branding.
Oh, so sorry.
It's not good enough.
Fair talk.
You mentioned that you do personal branding, and with your capacity of doing the podcast with emerging talents, is that something that you are planning to do as well for the people that are going to come to the podcast?
Yeah, so the guests that come on, I don't want them to just come on the podcast and then never speak to them again. I want to keep in touch and help them to build their profiles online. So across social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, I think there are just levels to the content that you can put out there. But yeah, ultimately it is just building that community, keeping in touch with them, and then just helping elevate their stories as well.
So you mentioned in social media and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of your main recommendations?
I think for the field that I'm in, but obviously because I do cybersecurity, it's very business oriented. So a lot of my clients and a lot of the work that I do, it must be on LinkedIn. That is kind of the crowd and the community that's on there. But I think any industry that you're in, if you've got good content to share and you've got a story behind that and you can put it out on LinkedIn, it's great for collaboration. And I think LinkedIn right now, it's not as saturated. There aren't as many users on LinkedIn as you do have on TikTok and Instagram. So I think it's a good platform to be on right now. It doesn't take much, I don't think personally, for LinkedIn, for you to put a couple of posts out and start gaining traction.
Really?
Yeah.
But is there a reason why people don't go on LinkedIn?
I think, again, I don't know whether people look at LinkedIn and maybe think it's too much of a corporate, too much of a business-focused platform, and maybe they don't know where to start. And I think for me, I've kind of honed in on my LinkedIn the last 12 months. So personal branding, it takes a long time. It's not short-term wins. You can't build a personal brand overnight. It's a lifetime, really. But ultimately, the last 12 months, I think on LinkedIn, I've just been testing out different posts that I want to share, talking about my journey in cybersecurity, but then also talking about my journey in public speaking and how that's shaped me and shaped my life. And along the way, I've met certain people and I've networked and helped build collaborations that way. But I think you can do that across different social media platforms. It's not just LinkedIn. You can build a personal brand and tell your story on Instagram through Reels, or you can do the same thing on TikTok. You just have to find what you're passionate about. But then I think YouTube is also having a moment again, and people are going to YouTube to put long form content on there. So it's just deciding whatever you want to do.
That's a very interesting point. But I have a question. So we're talking about you doing cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is actually corporate, because
It is, yeah.
people are, when they're looking for cybersecurity, they will not look on Instagram. And if there will be someone on Instagram that do cybersecurity, they're probably going to laugh at them.
Yeah.
To make, it's probably not very serious about it. And the same is coming to media, because we are doing, for example, I'm from the media industry, and I have a friend who's a musician, for example, and those type of field are very oriented to those platforms. And for example, if someone tell me that I should start posting my stuff on LinkedIn, first of all, I will feel that everyone is a stranger, because I will not see many posts that I will get inspired by them, or people that will get inspired, so it will not push me to do this a lot. But if I will take the other part of the media, for example, let's say I'm not only creating the content, I'm also managing the content, managing the client, and then somehow I'm in a professional part of the media, I will agree with you. But I will not agree about the part of posting or creating content there, because it feels a bit strange to me.
But I feel like with content now, it's changing a little bit. A lot more people want to see behind the scenes. We don't just want to see the company doing fantastically. We want to see more about the employees, more about the managers. There's a lot of videos I've seen of behind the scenes where employees are just doing funny videos in a corporate setting in the office, and it brings life to the environment. So I think the way we're approaching just content in general, but also the corporate setting, is changing for the better.
I agree. So if you're talking about, let's talk about what you mentioned. You mentioned about the corporate settings and not being too perfect, because the key factor now, even with personal branding or any brand, it used to be perfect models, perfect settings, perfect slogan. Even the ads on TV, and until now, they try to make perfect ads, and we don't buy it.
Yeah.
We don't. For example, BBC recently posted that on ISpeak they got 100,000 people watching, 180,000. Every person now that with little bit of following gets more on Instagram or TikTok or even LinkedIn. I don't know how it works with LinkedIn, but I believe the reason is because people don't care about a perfect product. People care about your journey. So I believe what you're saying and how it's connected with your idea, that what you're trying to do, you're trying basically to create a platform to show a journey rather than a perfect product. Because if you're talking about a CEO that you're interviewing, or talking with someone that is already perfect online and he has a company, he makes million, whatever he makes, and his vision is already there, his stuff is already there, nobody will be interested to know about this guy. But if, for example, you are showcasing a person that doesn't have a perfect brand yet, but he has a perfect idea, and you're showcasing his journey and the way you, as a personal branding, going to help him or her to create it.
I put a post out on LinkedIn last week. So I delivered a TEDx talk last year about community and why we should remain open to change. And I remember when I posted 2 posts. One was the TEDx talk, but then the second post I said I got really emotional during my TEDx. This is why, because I care about community, I care about bringing people together, and I just relayed a little bit about my journey. And people get in touch because they want to hear more about your story and more about you as a person, rather than the brand that you're behind or the company that you're building. They're both very important things, but ultimately people connect with people. So we just have to remember that when we're putting out content online.
Yeah, people connect to people.
Yeah.
What is your craziest story that you ever met a person in your life?
Yeah.
You?
Pardon?
What is your craziest story you can tell to the camera?
My craziest story?
Like something that you can say, this is definitely only because, like for example, for me, I met a person randomly on the street. or I do a lot of social media content that I'm interviewing people with my models on the street for brands. And just from doing that, I met so many interesting people that some of them are actually my friends now, just because I met them on the street with random
with a microphone.
question.
I did do something similar last summer. So I originally, before I kind of built my website to what it is now and launching the podcast, I had a blog and it was called AF's Retail Guide. My initial was AF, Alexandra Forsyth, Retail Guide, because I work with a lot of clients in the retail fashion space doing cybersecurity for them. So I had a lot of knowledge, and I just felt that in a corporate setting you can't necessarily relay everything you want to. So I wanted to build a blog just for personal reasons, and I went out in London. I did 2 campaigns where I had posters and I put them up and I engaged with different people and I asked them
like
about
those type of posters?
Yeah, those type
the
of
one you
posters.
told me yesterday.
Yeah. And I was just putting them up and handing out flyers.
Not talking to nobody, just doing like that?
No, I put the posters up around London.
And
actually.
people came to you?
Yeah, and then I was handing out flyers and just talking to people. I think mainly just asking them, do they know anything about cybersecurity? Are they aware of what's going on in the landscape? And then trying to get them to just think a little bit differently and, to sign up. So, but I'm not doing that anymore. But it was a very fun experiment, like you say, because you get to just speak to people in all walks of life. Obviously, London's very diverse, so it was great.
Do you love London?
Yeah, I love it. I think I've grown so much being here. I moved when I was 26. Now, obviously, nearly 29. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Yeah.
London is perfect. Where are you from originally? Not
I'm
London?
originally from Worcester, which is West Midlands.
Oh, wow.
A couple of hours away.
A couple of hours is a big difference. You cannot fly in the UK. Inside of the UK, you have to take a train.
Yeah, train.
Yeah. So, I believe what you're saying now is basically anti-AI.
Pardon?
Is anti-AI.
Yes and no. Anti-AI is an artificial intelligence.
Yeah, because look, the reason people are so into interviews now, because AI took such a big part of content creation now. Now I can see whatever is AI or not, and people can send me, oh, look at this model, she's AI. I know she's AI. No, it doesn't look real, it looks AI.
There's definitely positives and negatives to AI. I mean, in terms of automation, helping you to stream content at a faster rate, helping you to create content at a faster rate is great. But obviously from cybersecurity, we're always looking at the risks to the AI models, so the LLMs and the chatbots, just making sure that the data that you're putting in there isn't too personal or too related to the company, because it could be used as a training model. We don't know exactly where that data's going, and there are some regulations around AI, but we're, even as the analysts and the professionals, just trying to keep on top of it, because we don't know what will happen in the next 5 years. Yeah,
because, for example, if you're talking about ChatGPT as an example for AI, it's kind of secure for now, because the terms and policy that whatever you create as a training model is going to be yours, is not owned by them. So it's actually it's like having an email or Gmail. It's the same way as having a chatbot. But other companies, for example, the new company, like the Chinese app,
WeChat?
Deepface.
I don't know.
The new AI, the Chinese. Do you know about it? Have you heard about?
Well, that changes your features. Or
the new AI.
ChatGPT.
Oh yes, but it's China, but I don't know what the name is.
Okay, whatever China made.
Yeah, they've made something.
The differences
lately.
between the ChatGPT, the main differences is people don't realize, because whatever China creates, the idea behind it is not about our personal life, it's not about our privacy, it's about the public as the information about people. That's basically, and then if the public has the information, they can use it. And if they create AI and people are going to use it, it's going to make the worst tool in the world, because in my opinion, if, for example, private data are going to leak from you, from me, from a company, all my ideas, all the way I work, the way my brain works, and the way your brain is going to be leaked to the public, my information is not going to be secure anymore. So I believe that ChatGPT is not replaceable for now, because we cannot replace something that is secure and private with something that is open source and everyone can view how it works and how it looks, in your perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think from cybersecurity, So I do threat intelligence within cybersecurity, which means I'm looking at trends strategically. It's all about awareness. So like you say, if we can't monitor all of the AI,
You can or you can't?
if we can't monitor kind of all of the new technology coming to the forefront, AI, you've also got quantum computing, NFTs, metaverse, everything that is just going on in the tech space. The biggest thing for us is to spread awareness of how it can be manipulated, how to protect your data, just give you kind of a few top tips. And just by spreading the awareness, hopefully that will help, because like you say, we can't monitor everything, we can't stop everything that's happening, but we can collectively come together to talk about it a bit more.
So you can or you can?
You can.
You can.
You can't, like I say, you can't monitor and stop personal data being breached or leaked fully, but the awareness part is the resilience. We can try and make it better.
Do you feel it's gonna? What you say now is basically the most important part, because I believe that your role as a cybersecurity, you will have way more advantage than people that didn't came from IT and they just coming into the field of AI and content creation, because I understand that content creation is in danger in a way. I used to be a photographer for over 10 years, and I can see that my work as a photographer, the demand of the same content is not there. The demand now is what you're saying, is exactly what you're saying, is for real content, for POV content, how something is working, but not as a proper polished content. And what you're doing is basically, by understanding the AI part of it, the cybersecurity part of it, you also understand what's going to work in media field and in business wise as well. So you have so much to give to the people, because you will understand way beyond than.
But it can be quite scary to talk to businesses and talk to companies about cybersecurity, because it's not a taboo, but it's still relatively niche in terms of, like I say, just trying to offer out practical guidance to companies to protect their data, protect their assets. It all comes down to funding and resources, whether they can invest in cybersecurity. So it's a tricky subject.
Why?
Like I say, the funding resources in order
because it's very expensive to run.
It's
compared
very
to
expensive
other.
in terms of tooling. So for cybersecurity, for threat intelligence, there are tools that we can use to help monitor the company's environment, but it's very, very expensive. If it's
The
a
tool
start,
himself or the actual services?
to employ us as analysts, but then also the tooling itself, because it goes through a third party. But also with startups, they just don't have the resources. They're already trying to build themselves up, so they can't invest in cyber. So I guess that's where kind of the public speaking comes into it. If they can go to a conference, listen to somebody like me for an hour, spreading the awareness, that might help. So there are ways that.
What is the main? I'm trying to understand what is your long-term goal as a company, because you have so many skills. You have public speaking, you understand about cybersecurity, you understand about the future, you understand what a person needs basically to build themselves, and there is so many ways to transfer it into a person journey. For example, let's say Kieran is a musician, but he's also a very talented composer. He understands how to create music in a very detailed.
Say hello, Kieran.
And I believe Kieran has more than just talent to create the music. He also have the very technical skills. So for him, for example, he likes to. He basically what he's doing is I don't know how to say it in the proper way. Kieran, can you help me?
He's very multifaceted. He has a lot of skills.
Yes.
But what is your main goal right now? Your main goal right now is to create your skills so well that you don't need nobody else.
Pretty much. It's
I love that.
It's like the things that, like being an artist myself, I could already see what was in demand in terms of engineering, getting the vocals right, production. So if I cut the middleman out and I'm the product myself, then everywhere I go, I get to bring my value. It's not, I'm hiring this person because
I can't do it myself.
So it then I think for me that makes me a bit more useful
Yeah.
in that kind of world.
But also very challenging. I mean, I'm exactly the same as Kieran right now. I'm doing everything in terms of content creation, marketing, and then public speaking, getting the slides together, presenting. So I'm wearing 7 or 8 different hats
Yeah.
at multiple different times on different days of the week. You think Monday I'm going to research and I'm going to put some slides together. Tuesday I'm going to have meetings in order to put those proposals out. Wednesday I might get a call back and say, well, I'd like you to come on a Zoom and deliver a 1-hour webinar. And then Friday I'm here in the co-working space just trying to respond to emails. And then I got more meetings on the weekend, and you think, oh, you can only do it for so long, because obviously it is challenging. But it's also exciting because you build your skill set: personal branding, public speaking, cybersecurity. I look at myself now and think I don't know where I'd want to go in the future, because I don't know what that looks like.
But what you're saying is basically every single person problem.
Yeah.
Because not every, but most
And
of
it's
the
not a
talented
problem.
people in the world
It's a good thing to have. It's a
to
good
be
place to
talented
be.
like you.
Pardon? It's a good place to be in terms of
Of
having
life.
so many skills,
Yeah.
not needing an extra person right now, because you get to make all the decisions by yourself, but then you have to make all the decisions by yourself, so
Yeah.
it's 2 ways.
But I believe being able to have so many skills, or learn, or let's say making sure that you are one-man show, it means that you can also make it 5-man shows.
Yeah.
Because as long as you know what is going on in the business from every aspect, you can expand your business and you can create it. Because now you're expanding your business in a way that you're helping other people to build their businesses. So it's basically you multi, how you call it?
Motivate.
What, multitask?
No multitask, you actually multiplying your business
Yeah.
into different
Yeah,
businesses, because every person that's going to work and going to make sure his business is going to thrive after that is part of your business.
I always say the core team members that you have at the beginning will make or break the company. It will either be a success or a failure, and that comes down to you as a person, kind of all of your values, your goals, your mission, working that out. But I don't think people take long enough to figure that out.
To figure out
What they want, what do they want this company to be, and where do they see it going. But then again, for me, that also means looking into myself and what are my values as a person, and am I being authentic? Am I being true to my word? And then that all is a combination.
Mm-hmm.
There's a company, but also the person behind it.
It's very challenging.
It is. And that's why, that's what I teach when I do kind of the self-development coaching through the public speaking as well. For example, some of my clients in the past, they really want a job and they want it in cybersecurity, which I think is fantastic, because I want more people to come into the industry. But why do you want that job? How long do you want to stay in that job? Do you want to travel? Do you want to work remotely? Who are you as a person? Figuring all of that out and writing that down, then we can have a look at what roles will suit you best. But you've just got to take small steps.
Do you believe in writing your journey?
Writing, I do. I won't use this, but I am actually writing a book. But I won't use it for now. But yeah, hopefully it'll be published by the end of the year. But yeah, writing. But I don't journal. I'm not really. No, I've never really been that person. But I do put some things in my notes on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'm not a journaler.
Did you ever find out that whatever you write down is actually happens eventually?
Sometimes. I think the best thing I do is a to-do list.
To-do list?
For the week.
For the week?
For the week, and I tick it off when I've completed them. Or
Amazing. Do you feel good about yourself when you complete some...
Sometimes, but it's getting longer, and I don't complete
Do you feel
half
like
as much as I should. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm ticking off maybe 3 things out of 10. But if those 3 things are core priority and I must get them done that week, if I've completed it, fine. Everything else can wait.
I love the to-do list that you have 10,000 of them, but you always copy-paste the one that's most important up, and then you do the small tasks, because it's the easier task to do, just to feel good about yourself, and then you always push the...
But even just little things, going for a run, having breakfast, showering, I put those, showering.
Showering,
We all shower.
come on.
We all shower. I know that we do. We all
To-do list, take a shower today.
I had a very interesting conversation with a couple of friends, and we were talking about partners and hygiene, and there's some interesting conversations that can be had.
India?
Pardon?
Sorry.
No, we're not using that. Anyway, let's carry on.
Hygiene, yeah.
But no, hygiene, no. But in terms of writing things down, just the small things, running, showering, working out, having breakfast, the small things. And then when you accomplish that, it gets you ready for the day, making your bed. It seems like such an easy task, but I don't think not enough people do it. And that gets me up in the morning, straight up, make my bed, I'm ready to go.
I agree. There is something about, because
routine.
Now, yeah, routine is everything, especially when you're self-employed and you do everything by yourself. And I'm not talking about the term of a company, I'm talking about the terms of you doing the stuff, no one else doing it for you. So above of doing your own life, you also are very demanding life in a work environment that you expecting yourself to do, and also a client can expect you to deliver.
Yeah.
And sometimes because we are so caught up in what the client needs from us, we forget that we have also needs to live. We have our priority, like working out or making our bed, or whatever. It's important more than the client job, because sometimes I can put a priority. Okay, I wake up in the morning, I get the call, something bad happened, or the shop doesn't work. We need to figure out what's happened. We have to email the company. We have to do that, and it's priority. Everyone is stressing out, and also I just woke up. Thank you very much, but I have to deal with it right now.
Yeah.
So I cannot do my bed first. I have to, and it's small stuff that actually makes a big difference in life, because if you have like boundaries about your own life, what you have to do first, and then what is your professional life, I think this is a very important
But then also
aspect.
checking in on yourself, like you say, and just making sure if you haven't, I don't know, for example, I haven't done it in a long time, but normally on a Sunday afternoon I'll just go for a walk. So I block out 2 hours and I'll just go listen to podcasts. That's my time. Nobody else's. I don't answer calls, I don't answer emails, nothing. But I haven't done that for a few weeks because I've been so busy, and I'm starting to feel it. And I feel that I need to spend a little bit of time just me and just in my own
nobody,
world.
just
so
your personal space.
Yeah, so it's boundaries really important, but also, like I say, just checking in on yourself. That's really hard to do because wearing multiple hats, we've got to keep going. And I don't particularly like to keep still for too long. I'm very much just go, 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 don't look back. Yeah.
I have an interesting question for you. Every technology aspect that we have in life should make our life easier. And I believe that we are in an era now that the technology we have available for everyone is a technology used to be only available for governments. And the amount of efficiency as a person should be so well compared to what it used to be before. But I just find out, I'm not talking about other people, I'm talking about my own personal experience, that instead of having more efficiency in my personal life, I have more efficiency in a work life. For example, I can automate all my tax returns, I can automate all my social media content, I can automate my goals for making money for companies, but I don't do it for myself. I do it only in work environment, so it just makes me work more efficient, but not actually helping my own life become better.
But if you flip the switch and wanted to then try and automate your own life, how would you do it?
That's a very interesting question.
Because it's quite nice to maybe have a little bit of chaos in your personal life when everything else is so perfect.
I mean, chaos in personal life is...
It's not the best.
You just said that making your bed in the morning makes all the difference. So
but if I didn't do it, imagine if I came home and my bed wasn't made, I'd think, come on, Alex, make it tomorrow. And that would spur me in the morning the next day to get up and make that bed. So sometimes...
So you believe in chaos... So I have a question. If you think that chaos can make our lives a bit better because it's a bit more spicy...
I love that word.
and it's good to have a spicy life, to be honest. I don't think perfect life is
No,
good.
I don't like perfect.
And also, we don't like perfect friends because usually, I don't know about you, but I don't like when my friends are perfect or dating someone that is super.
My friends are very different. I don't really have any friends who are exactly the same as me in terms of I'm quite. I don't know how to describe myself in the right way, but my friends are very different. They just have fun personalities. Not to say I'm not fun, but they are just very light-hearted and like to have a good time. And I like that because I'm a little bit reserved and very much just in the business mindset. So yeah, I don't like to have friends who are exactly the same as myself. It won't work.
It's because what you said, you like to have a spicy life. And you have also to have more diverse, and it's interesting. So as a human, I believe as humans we like to have, we don't enjoy having routines in general, especially people that work for themselves. The reason they work for themselves, not for a company, because it's like we living in a jail. If you have
We tried it, and so I worked in corporate for 4 years, and I love the experiences I had. I love the clients, and I'm heartbroken to have had to have left them, really, because I love the job so much and it's my career. But yeah, it is very much 9 to 5 in the office. Not for me, because I'm too free-spirited and I like to be out and about talking to people, and
having different
conversations.
So I think it's very well connected to the point we started, because we started earlier by saying that businesses should not be perfect anymore as the way they present themselves. And I believe the reason we have a bit of chaos in our life, our personal life.
A little bit of spiciness.
Exactly, let's call it spiciness. The reason we have the little spiciness in our life is because our brain works in this way. Our brain works in more, I don't know how to call it, but it's more wave.
More like a roller coaster.
Yeah, and a roller coaster makes our brain stimulated. And also humans, the reason we enjoy doing different stuff because we are stimulated. And when a brand is very predictable, and especially in a media environment, everything, you know what you're going to get. You know how
no excitement.
There is no excitement, so we are not convinced to buy. In nowadays, because everything can be perfect by AI and everything can be automated and everything, it's very easy people don't realize how easy it is to go to ChatGPT. I can show you now how you can go to ChatGPT and build the most perfect website just by asking the right questions. And it will tell you everything you used to do from YouTube tutorials, you can do it by ChatGPT. It's so easy now. So having a perfect life by being a professional, it's not an issue those days. But I don't think people want to be professionals anymore. People want to have the real them.
It's the realness, it's the journey, it's the story, it's seeing people at their worst sometimes. I would rather, when we spoke about CEOs earlier on, I'd rather see a CEO having an absolute rubbish day, but somehow managing to get to the end. And
for example?
Pardon?
For example?
For example, just having a rubbish day, everything going wrong, and then come out the end and have gotten over the challenges, rather than seeing a CEO have multiple meetings, everything's going well, the company's great. That doesn't teach me anything. It doesn't teach me that when I get to that level, I'm not going to face challenges and be able to get over them. I want to see more reality, more life.
Much more how the journey began how the life is not perfect now, but is much better because of those small challenges.
I think people are just looking for short-term wins as well, and just they want to get to the end really fast. They want to make lots of money. They want to be big and successful, and you can have all of those things, but it really is a journey. It's the long game. It's years and years of preparation to get you to the end, and even when you're at the end, maybe you pivot and go and do something else entirely. And
completely different.
Yeah, and I think that's why I do multiple things, because I don't just want to be known as somebody in cybersecurity and that be my whole career and that's it and I'm done. I want to be a public speaker, I want to do a podcast, I want to speak to people and live a life of service and help as much as possible. So
that's very interesting. It's very interesting, to be honest. I do
Kieran,
believe...
you look like you're about to fall asleep.
No, I was going to ask a question. What else?
Tell.
I was gonna. So
Do you want to sit here?
no.
Come
I
on.
just really enjoyed the conversation.
I could hear. I could see your head nodding.
So you know, the thing that I feel like I have a problem with is when you wear multiple hats. How do you monitor it in a way where you're not burning yourself out? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you have to put yourself out there first to then receive consumers.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like that's something that you're...
I mean, I faced burnout a couple of times in the last few years. It's not a great place to go to because you have to just stop everything completely. You can't carry on. But for example, I did consider myself to be quite introverted before I moved to London. When I came here, I used to go to a lot of networking events. So that's a prime example. If I'm monitoring, networking, collaborating with others, if I'm going to, I don't know, if I'm going to 5 networking events a week, if I feel too burnt out and I can't speak to any more people and I don't want to do it anymore, I will just retreat. So that's my way of monitoring that kind of aspect of my life, because you do have to speak to people, you do have to put yourself out there in order to get clients, etc. But I would rather speak to one person and build a fantastic relationship than speak to 10 people and nothing come of it. So it's just monitoring that wavelength. But in terms of the other hats, I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah,
Do you have anything?
About what?
In terms of wearing multiple hats, how do you monitor and make sure you're not burning out one area
I like to get
rather
burned
than the
out.
other?
I burn out every couple of months for like a week.
Yeah.
But it's I realize that this is the way I work because it's a pattern, and I also like to, because I have ChatGPT, and that I like to them to learn about the way I work and learn about my flows and try to fix them in a way. So I try to monitor at least every couple of days to monitor what I do right and wrong, and see if I'm consistent in my achievement or whatever I do, because I believe it's like my assistant for now.
But Kieran, I mean, something as simple as maybe having a spreadsheet in Excel and saying I'm going to do 3 hours in engineering, or 3 hours making music, or 3 hours editing, whatever, and then look at that week on week. And if you think, well, actually I've spent 10 hours on this when I've only spent 2 hours on this, I need to spend more time here, then you can start to see a bit of a pattern. And then also you might work out that actually I don't really like doing the editing part because I'm not spending enough time on it, so maybe now I'll just go and hire somebody to do it. You'll actually start to maybe think of that.
But if it is Kieran, your idea is to be a solo person.
I know.
So you have to master every part of your business, and then you can hire somebody, or you can hire in-house eventually. But
Maybe one person. I mean, everybody probably needs 1 or 2 people with them, even if you're doing it solo forever. Admin, just somebody to help with the marketing maybe.
yeah, every successful company have multiple people.
Yeah.
Because no one can do perfect one role. No one.
No.
When you're a big company, yes, but when you are a service-based company and you just work with contractors, how you call it?
Yeah.
I don't have people that works with me every day, but I have people that...
Subcontractors, yeah.
So no one can do a business by himself. We could not do this podcast without all this around us, and it's very
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so
I love the questions that you've asked me today. They're really, really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. I will ask you more questions.
No, let's
Or-
wrap
or
it
should we
up,
wrap
for
it up?
God's sake.
Let's
Let's
keep
focus
it.
on. Let's make it very. Let's create.
God, I forgot that it's going to zoom in on me like that.
I'm going to ask you a question that I believe that people.
Maybe ask me one about the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Just one.
So Alexandra or Alex, the way you want to call yourself.
Alex.
Alex. Alex, I love the name because I have one of my good friends is Alex. One of my only good friends that I met in London was the first time I came here.
Do you call her Alex?
Alex, and I used to call her Alexa because whenever I have a question about life, I used to ask her.
I've been called Ali before.
Alexa is also good, by the way.
Yeah,
Because
Alexa.
it's like asking Alexa
No,
what
I love
to do.
her.
And it's a lot of information carry on by you. And I believe that you're a channel for information right now.
Yes.
Yeah? So Alexa.
No, Alex. Not Alexa. God. Call me Ali.
Okay.
I don't like
Ali?
any of them. No, I don't
Ali?
like any of them. I'm lying.
By the way, I
Don't call
just met Alex yesterday randomly. I was doing a photo shoot and I was doing like a lot of blinks and I asked her if it's annoying. And she said, no, I loved all the annoying part of it. And I said, okay, if you like it, let's do a podcast tomorrow. And we just planned to do something very simple, but eventually we created with 500 cameras, and we're going to talk about Alex's journey. And I believe that she has something very exciting to say about what she's doing. Basically, she's creating a podcast for people like you, or like me, like everybody else that have thriving business that they want to be one day way more than what they are now. And she has a very special method that she's going to create for people, and it's a very interesting point because and usually when we see podcasts we see everything that looks perfect, and this one is a CEO and this one is that and is already very well established or whatever it is, but honestly no one cares about it. When people want to see your journey, so that's how the idea came.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the idea for the podcast was I came up with the idea for the podcast through networking. So when I moved to London and I would go to different events, I would just talk to people about what they're doing. I would meet a lot of young people and they would relay to me the challenges they were facing in terms of low self-esteem, confidence, not knowing how to network, not having the right resources, wanting to pivot into another industry or wanting to come and work in cybersecurity, but they just didn't know who to talk to and where to go. So I remembered certain guests, and those are the first guests that are coming on who I met either 6 months ago or a couple of months ago. They're my friends now, and they will be coming on and relaying to me their story. And the mic's theirs, really. The podcast I want to be different. You won't hear a lot of me talking. The first episode will be my journey, and it's around 10, 11 minutes. Again, I don't like to self-indulge, so you won't hear me talk too much, because I do that with the public speaking anyway. But yeah, the guests will come on, be around 20, 30 minutes, and they will just tell me what they've been up to, and that can be right at the beginning. Some of the guests have travelled and moved over from other countries to London to study here in the UK, and so they would talk about that. They would talk about what they've studied, talk about challenges they're facing, what they're going to aspire to be and do in the future, and together we'll work and see if I can help them with some of their challenges, if I can offer words of wisdom, and then spotlight them out online, get conversations going, build the community. And I just want it to be about them. I think, like you say, there's a lot of leaders and CEOs which I think are fantastic. They've worked in their field, they've honed it 30, 40 years, absolutely brilliant. What about everybody else? And what about regular people and people like us? We want more and we want to aspire, and we're doing it, but we're still in the middle of our journey or right at the beginning or just on our way, and we deserve also to have the floor and have the mic and have a seat at the table. And I think maybe it comes from me not really being given the opportunities I should have, and I've been doing cybersecurity for 4 years, but sometimes I feel I have to prove myself even now, and I shouldn't, but I do, and that plays on my mind a lot. So I can't imagine what people feel like right at the beginning. And a lot of my guests, they won't have been on a podcast before, no public speaking experience, and this is their time to shine.
So I will put myself into these shoes because it sounds extremely interesting. It sounds very promising. to be honest. If someone will offer me in...
Don't make me nervous.
In the beginning... Huh?
I said, don't make me nervous. It will be fine.
But you're a public speaker. You should not be
Yeah.
nervous, never.
Yeah, but we do, and we care about things.
Really?
Yeah. And
So
obviously
public speaking people...
And I'm a Pisces. I would just say, in terms of my star sign, we're very sensitive, very kind-hearted, very empathetic towards others, but we feel energy.
So you're not Leo?
Pardon?
You're Leo.
Are you? I don't know if we're compatible as friends.
Not at all.
I'm serious. I'm not compatible with some star signs. Sagittarius is a big no.
And Leos, no.
And I'm not sure. I'll have to Google it.
It depends.
Kieran, what star sign are you? Oh no, are you going to say Sagittarius?
No.
What, do you guess? I don't know.
I've got a
star
ring in
sign
my
are
ear.
you?
What sign are you?
Virgo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you know, 2025 for Virgo and Pisces, this is our year.
2025?
I'm serious.
Yeah, that's what I've been
Virgo and Pisces, it's
What
the
about the
Tuesday-
rest? They're going to die.
No, we're going to have a very, very good year.
And the rest not?
I'm not sure, but the astrology is saying this year. So, Kieran, I would check your star sign.
I believe in Chinese star sign.
It was the year of the rabbit.
The rabbit?
It was the year of the rabbit.
It was or it will be?
I think it's the year of the rat. This
The
year.
rat? Oh, I don't want to go to London then. We have to get out of here.
I think my year is the year of the rat as well.
Really?
For real?
Oh my God, that's this year. China. Chinese.
That's why Chinese are so striving right now with all the electric cars and the electric data not protection.
They're doing a lot in the technology space.
They
Yeah.
are very, very good. I can say that I enjoy seeing different cars, but I think the Chinese cars, they are not the strongest one, but they are the more advanced ones. They are focusing on technology rather than sustainability.
Yeah.
And I believe that's something about also rats, I think. They are not sustainable, but they are very advanced. They are very smart.
Yeah. But definitely, Kieran, check.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that.
I'm going to have a look after as well, because I'm sure it's the year of the rat, but I want to say
Really?
I want to say snake. I can't remember which one.
I don't want snakes to be...
I think snake was last year. It is the rat this year. Interesting. Okay.
So, what I was trying to say, the reason it's very exciting because usually people don't get this opportunity. And one of the most important part that I say to everyone is, even to Kieran all the time, and I try to fight with them about it, that whatever he's doing now, you have to show to the people, you have to show to the world, is process, not is success, is process. But everyone try to show a perfect product of themselves. So your point is way beyond the CEO, is just to tell people, basically, whatever you are now, it's enough to show the world. Because your process is what people want to see. People don't want to see your perfect product. People want to see how you can do a perfect product. Because let's say one day I'm thriving and I'm here. From here, it's not because of one good move. It's because 5 years of hard working and doing mistakes and good moves and bad moves. Then I came to a point that in 1 month I came to here because of all this hard working. But people only see on Instagram, on TikTok, they only see, oh, I did this and I became a billionaire. Yes, but 5 years earlier, you did all the steps, you learned all those skills, you did so many mistakes, you never show it to us. And that was pissing me off with people because I don't want to say motherfucker, but I will say that. Motherfucker, show your work.
I'm not going to use that.
Huh?
I'm not going to use that.
Okay, so show your work. Show your hard work. I know that you didn't do it in one day. I know you didn't work 1 hour a day and make million. You didn't, because every person that makes million now, he works for 5 or 10 years to learn those skills, and we need to know about it. We need to see the way you handle in stress, the way you handle failure, because this is part of life.
Yeah.
Everyone fails. Everyone, no matter what is. Some people fail more than others. Some people fail less, but everyone have their own journey because...
But also failure is redirection towards success.
Yeah.
So the no that you get from somebody, go find your yes. It's that easy, and it's a shift in mindset that we need, really. We need you to be more optimistic, more willing, more open to just life in general, and I want that to come through the guests. And then anybody listening who is 2 or 3 steps behind, or maybe 1 step ahead, they can find value in others.
So basically finding values, and if you can summarize our conversation and we can wrap it up, it will be amazing. Because we want people to know exactly in few words what they should expect from you and when it's going to happen, because we need to know that.
So to summarise what we've spoken about today,
It would be very hard to summarize it, but
it'd be very hard to summarise all of it.
I mean your points, like what when people are going to see the video and what they're going to expect to happen, basically.
I
So
think what people can expect is a podcast, and I think just me in general in terms of what I'll be bringing to the table. It won't be polished, it's not going to be perfect. You know, these are real stories coming from real people, the guests, and I don't know how I'm going to summarise it. I know what I want to say, but I don't know what I want to say at the same time.
in my head, it's very summarized. Whatever
Yeah.
you're doing is amazing.
The podcast is just different. The podcast is, in my eyes, there's nobody really doing it right now. There's nobody tapping into emerging talent, people right at the beginning of their journey, offering a voice, offering just a different perspective, a perspective that we should have had a long time ago. And I think we did have for a long time, but now technology, social media, things have become inflated. Everybody wants the perfect life. And then, like I said, you can have all of the things you want, dream big, have the best goals, but in order to get there, you need to think about the journey, one step in front of the other. And I hope through this podcast you will listen to the guests, and it will just highlight that everybody is in a similar boat. We're all facing challenges, we're all failing, some successes, but it's the journey, it's the story. And I hope to breathe some realness back into people's lives, really, and just help them to see that you can have everything, you can have the life that you want, but it starts with you, and it starts by just taking down this smoke and mirrors, this mask that we all have. And yeah.
Can you say something vulnerable about yourself? So people can say, she's also vulnerable in front of a camera. She's also doesn't try to show a perfect life.
I don't know, what would the vulnerability be?
It doesn't need to be a real vulnerability. It can be something that you feel it's vulnerability about yourself. For example, I would say that I have also sometimes burnouts, and when I have a burnout, I'm not perfect. I don't really care about my clients in that day or in that moment because I don't have the capacity to do it. And I used to be way worse, now I'm much better, but I used to ruin my own clients sometimes from a burnout that I didn't know how to control. But now that I'm aware that I have a burnout, I know how to deal with it. And every person have their own vulnerabilities, and we are improving all the time. So what about you? What would you say to your audience that you are human like them?
I would say one of my vulnerabilities is that I don't really feel like I'm good enough to do a lot of things in life. Public speaking, I used to be, like I said, very introverted, and when I was first coming into the industry, I wanted to work at the big company and I wanted to have the big job because I thought that would make me feel better, and I thought that would make me feel like I had something to aspire to or to achieve. But then obviously now going freelance, you don't have to do things just because society tells you that that's the right thing to do. And if you want to go down a different path and you want a different life, you can have that. But like I say, it takes courage and it takes time. But then also one thing that I do mention in the podcast as well is it wasn't easy for me to get into the industry. I'm self-taught in cyber, so I study criminology, and I went through a lot of rejection to get my first role. It took me about 6-7 months. Nobody would take me.
Because you didn't have the qualification.
Yeah, they didn't have the qualifications, and they kept saying no. And obviously I wasn't very good at public speaking at the time, so I was going into these interviews and I was just fumbling. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was trying to sound professional, but I couldn't because I didn't have the right background.
Terms.
Pardon?
There are different terms of being a professional and what
it was
you
hard.
knowledge.
But to be honest, at the time, I was quite resilient in terms of when they would give me feedback, no matter how bad the feedback was, I would take it on the chin. And if I didn't know a word or a phrase that they were using, I'd go away and learn it and apply it at the next interview. But it was hard. It was really hard. And a company finally took a chance on me and then moved to London, and life's panned out the way it has. But it wasn't always like that. and I wasn't always the public speaker I am today. And like I say, I used to be very introverted, quite extroverted now, but it's been 4 years. So you can have it all, but nobody obviously, and I wish I told my story a little bit earlier, because obviously now on to the next phase of life. But yeah.
Will you tell the story now? Because I'm a person that I have to say, to come to your show, to your podcast, and tell my story and my vulnerability. Will you tell your vulnerability?
I think I will. Throughout the podcast, I think it will come up in
so
terms
this will be a
of
very interesting thing
different
to watch,
episodes. There are a lot of vulnerabilities I could talk about, and it depends obviously what the guests come to the table with. I will share some of mine when they share theirs and help them to understand that we're all human beings and we all go through similar experiences in a way. So yeah, I will talk about it, but obviously the emphasis is on that.
Amazing.
And I don't like to self-indulge. Even just saying that vulnerability then, it's too much.
So we self-indulge you.
I hate self-indulging. It's not for me.
I mean, self-indulge is something that's something about perfection, and I think no one is perfect, and self-indulging doesn't need to come from perfection. It needs to come from little achievements, and your little achievements are amazing. And where you are now, it's a dream for any other person that's going to watch the show. So I believe that everyone that is looking to build a career, build a life, or build a dream, and they don't know where to start, and if they have a good potential, they have to come to your show, to your podcast, and start somewhere.
Well, yeah, because I've already recorded a couple of the episodes, and the guests have said to me now they've been on a podcast, they want to go on another one. And a few of them want to get into public speaking, and it's just a change in mindset from a 20, 30-minute conversation. You just never know. You're changing lives, and that's obviously a huge responsibility, but at the same time, it's exciting.
But also it's the capacity to manage all the people that are going to come to the podcast.
I know.
This will come next, probably.
Yeah, it's next.
It's a challenge. I believe that
I do want to... Obviously, I don't just envision it being a podcast online. I do eventually want to get everybody together and maybe do a live event where they can just shoot fire questions to me and the guests, and we can answer them and actually bring it out to the people. I'm obviously doing the campaigns in London last year. I love being around people, best conversation. Podcast isn't meant to just be digital, I don't think.
I think digital never gives you the real aspect of the podcast, because
I mean, imagine if we had a room filled of people here right now, and they would just shoot fire.
I would be very, very hesitated before it.
But it would be fun. They could just ask questions.
If now I sound like a foreigner, imagine if you add more people into the conversation. My English going to be 8th grade.
It would be fine.
It would be the basic of the basic. I would say yes, no.
Yeah, but think about it in terms of, like I say, just the feeling, the emotion to that, and people walk away and they've learnt something new and met people as well. And it's all about meeting people. I want the community to come together.
Imagine all these podcasts came from one idea yesterday. We didn't know that we're going to do it when you wake up in the morning yesterday. We just saw each other in Soho House, so shout out to Soho House and Kieran.
I know, I told somebody about this yesterday. I went to a tarot reading, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
After or before?
After. So I went to an event in the evening, because I love to have my tarots read. And my tarot was honour your words, which is interesting. It's kind of honour. I was thinking with the podcast, honour why you're doing it, and never lose sight of the reason you started. And there were 2 cards, Strength and the Queen of Pentacles, which means you're in your moment. So live through it. So live in your moment. And then I had a little phrase which said, enter the, focus on the next phase with energy and enthusiasm. Yeah. But I told somebody, I said I met somebody at the co-working space, and now we're going to speak to each other the next day, and you never know.
Yeah.
Never know what conversations you're going to have. And I went to a networking event before Christmas, and I met somebody who's a photographer, and he did my headshots. Amazing. Never know.
You never know. This life is very interesting. And we also make choices very impulsively, I believe. We do it with our own... we have a system that called... how we call it? there is a system in our body that called there is a word for it.
I don't know.
You know when you
I
decide
feel
very
really
fast.
flustered as well.
Huh?
I feel really flustered as well.
Instinct.
Instincts, yeah. I had a bad conversation a couple of years back with somebody that doesn't believe in instincts.
Who doesn't
And-
believe in
In instincts.
instinct? Okay.
And I was saying, no, we should believe in instinct because
Gut feeling.
gut feeling is
Gut
the most
feeling.
important part. And if someone tells you that it doesn't believe in gut feeling, run away.
But I feel energy. So when I'm talking to somebody, it could be for 5 minutes or 30 minutes, I will be able to feel whether we'll
feel.
talk again.
Because you're a very sensitive person.
Yeah.
And it's very important skills. So I believe if you understand feeling and you know how to listen to yourself, you have much easier life because you know how to filter what's wrong and
Yeah,
what's
definitely.
correct. And I believe this is the best.
But then
skill in the
also
world.
with that and feeling other people's energy, I do remind myself that whatever energy they're putting out to you, don't take it personally. That's their kind of aura. That's
perspective.
who they are as a person. So it's not a reflection of you. And the conversation that you have, if it's awkward or it goes badly, again, it's not a reflection on you. That's just where they're at currently. So it's also flipping that switch. Definitely really important.
Okay. It was amazing talking to you, Alexandra.
Thank you for having me.